Thank you for joining us. It's Monday, the 28th day of November, 2011. Thank you for joining us for this special edition of InfoWars Nightly News. We have Dr. Klein Body joining us, who's written a peer-reviewed paper and also published a book on psychopaths in control of corporate systems worldwide and how they destabilize the entire planet. And that dovetails nicely into Gerald Celente, the trends forecaster. Incredible breaking news concerning the MF Global and the billions of dollars missing, Corzine, all of it. This is the main advisor, of course, to Obama. That is all coming up tonight. But first, we are loaded for bear when it comes to the news and information. Okay, it's like deja vu. I remember 3 years ago with the Military Commissions Act and other announcements that were made, executive orders, where they came out and said the Pentagon will kill U.S. citizens without trial or arrest. The Pentagon will arrest you, torture you, take you to a gulag. Now, the bill and the accompanying executive orders said in them that U.S. citizens are exempt unless they say you're, quote, fighting the U.S. That means the banksters that run our military and have taken control of our country. And Ron Paul came out and exposed it, and top lawyers on the left and right did, and the ACLU did, and still they said, no, it's ridiculous. And now they're killing, quote, American-born members of al-Qaeda, no judge, no jury, no trial, setting that precedent, saying, oh, yes, of course. Kind of like they said 10 years ago, the Patriot Act will never be used against citizens, and it can't be. And, of course, I won the Project Censored Award for writing analysis of it. I said, but it says it can't be used on citizens except for Section 802 for any misdemeanor. Jaywalking, you have no constitution. Now you see cops putting tracker systems on cars without warrants, pulling you over, grabbing your cell phone, downloading the contents, arresting people for videotaping them in public, beating people's heads in, and they're told, oh, we can do this now, the Patriot Act. So it's an even more egregious story that when you know this stuff's happening and they're now trying to codify it in law and expand it and say that Northcom can operate on every street corner in America, the new military system they've set up, that they send out their disinformation operatives in media. Within minutes of our article going up 3 days ago on Infowars.com about this, there were trolls already on there quoting the section saying we were liars. The section says, oh, you've got all these rights, but then later it says, but we take them away. It's kind of like the UN Declaration of Human Rights. It's got 29 great rights and liberties until the last two articles say, unless we want to say null and void. It's the fine print. Now, continuing here, here's the new story, top story tonight. Yes, Americans will be targeted as terrorists under the NDAA. Paul Watson and Alex Jones. Republican Congressman Amish warns that bill can be applied to U.S. citizens. And he went on telling the Grand Rapids Press that the bill is written to, quote, be carefully crafted to mislead the public. You've got Ron Paul coming out saying it affects citizens. You've got the ACLU. You've got Republican Congressman Justin Amish. You've got all of these people coming out, and I'll guarantee you, because I haven't even looked, but it's in our other articles. You go read the trolls in here, they're going to be denying this is happening. And you know when trolls show up in minutes with sections of the lengthy bill to deceive people, the bill I have right here, to manipulate them and say, oh, Patriot Act's not going to affect you. Don't listen. Oh, this isn't going to affect you. Oh, we're not listening to you without warrants. Remember Bush 5 years ago? Now they're just like, yeah, we listen to everything without warrants. They've got Marines running checkpoints in California and Alabama, but it's okay. They're looking for drunks. They've got Army doing it all over the country. I've covered it the last 4 years. Homeland Security, as I warned you. And you can see another one of the good congressman's quotes there, hopefully in burgeoning Ron Paul. He says it's one of the most anti-liberty pieces of legislation of our lifetime. That puts it lightly, but here's what I'm going to explain. People are like, it's Obama. He wants to be a dictator. Obama is a globalist puppet teleprompter reader, just like Bush. Clinton, Bush, Obama, it's all the same. They've been getting the military ready for this. They've been quietly getting them trained with the local police. They've been quietly punching holes in posse comitatus for the planned economic implosion that Europe is going through being carried out here. Okay, so you can go read our articles. You can go read where we break down where they say citizens are exempt, but then the government strips you of your citizenship extrajudicially. And we've got all the subsections in there. Our article was linked on Drudge this morning. The first article we put out, Senate moves to allow military to intern Americans without trial. And the commenters just went absolutely wild. And here's the key. This is all happening. The truth will all come out later. The trolls, the paid globalists, the Pentagon operatives on record are in overdrive right now because they're trying to pass this bill this week. Kind of like they passed legislation saying TSA is above the law and could fondle your children's genitals like Sandusky or something, but get away with it. They are trying to codify that Northcom over the U.S., like AFRICOM, CENTCOM, we are a military zone, that they can use them against you. And I've been to the drills with the troops trying to confiscate your guns. You've seen my police state films. And my last police state film, we interviewed the colonel where they admitted they were training in Arcadia, Iowa to take over and confiscate all the guns door to door. And then I was the bad guy for not wanting that. This is for America. Now, here's another one out of the New American magazine. Senate bill to okay indefinite detention of U.S. citizens without charge or trial. And again, we all go over the subsections in here. Now, that said, remember, we were going to burn the American flag, get rid of the Constitution and Bill of Rights, butcher our republic because Al-Qaeda was so scary. They had beards, they had brown skin, even worse, they had turbans on their heads. Didn't matter that Al-Qaeda had been created by the CIA or used to go after the Serbs. Didn't matter if they used them against Iran the last few years. Didn't matter if they were funded out of Saudi Arabia by the U.S., Israel, Pakistan, and others, as well as England. Didn't matter. We had to give our rights up because the evil terrorist. Oh, but we got the Internal Homeland Security and MIAC reports where it said it's all about libertarians, gun owners, returning veterans. Then we learned in the New York Times that they've got the Explorer Scouts for at least 4 years training to take on disgruntled vets and kill them. They even say it in the newspaper like it's good. None of the training's for Al-Qaeda. Because Al-Qaeda are good little helpers. They take the blame for stuff. They invade countries they're told to. And when they attack the Serbs fight back. They bomb them into submission. They send them in against Gaddafi. They're murdering people en masse still. It's all over the news. Al-Qaeda flags everywhere. The leader of the main council, the leader of the military council, they're all Al-Qaeda. And now they're saying they're going into Syria. Here's the articles, London Telegraph today. So again, the military's taken over, and their training manuals are gun owners, conservatives, libertarians, patriots, people like that, folks that are informed. And then we go through all this information. Now Al-Qaeda is being given Libya. Now they're going to be given all the other countries. And here's the Infowars.com article. Al-Qaeda terrorist airlifted from Libya to aid Syrian opposition. Weapons and fighters sent to support overthrow of President Assad. Now, continuing here, here's the London Telegraph. Leading Libyan Islamicists met Free Syrian Army opposition group. And buried in the article, they admit all of this, and we have the quotes. Oh, but wait, there's more. Then we have the Digital Journal article, Libyan ex-Islamic terror leader heads Tripoli Military Council. And we've got all the quotes there. As we told you 6 months ago, I guess now 7, the main group out of the East funded by the West is true Al-Qaeda, who gave interviews, many of them, bragging, yeah, I've killed Americans in Iraq, and I'll go back to killing them as soon as we take this country. This is what is so insane. I'm supposedly got to let the TSA fondle my daughters and son because Al-Qaeda's hiding under every table, but then they get the underwear bomber on the plane, the shoe bomber on the plane, all on record. And we're all the lockies hanging out at the Pentagon until they kill the U.S. citizen in a drone attack, but they never hurt citizens, they just kill them. All of this is a total criminal red terror style takeover, and now they're getting ready to use the military on the American people. Absolutely unbelievable. So I want you to get this video, prisonplanet.tv viewers, InfoWars Nightly News subscribers, and I want you to get it once it's posted all over the four winds of the web, and send it to all your good old boy buddies. They're like, I just don't get how 9/11 could be an inside job. I just don't get how, you mean the government would attack itself? Yeah, Hitler blew up his own Capitol building to take over after he was already elected president. and then he became chancellor and the whole, and combined the two to be Führer. They had an upper and lower system in their parliament. He just became both, chancellor and president. Hitler was elected, go to the lower house. And he blew up the Capitol and said the commies did it and rounded everybody up. You know, Hitler, you know about that? You know about Gulf of Tonkin, all this? You just can't understand it? No, you're too scared to admit it. You know it's true, okay? You're like, well, then Al-Qaeda's good? No, I didn't say that. I explained their history, where they come from. Brzezinski's written 2 books about it, bragging how the CIA created it in '79. Wake up. Do you understand they're going to use this phony threat to fully butcher this country, take your pension funds, everything? It's already beginning. Do you get it? They're not going to stop. They've got re-education camps built, the Emergency Centers Establishment Act. They're now admitting they want to use the military against you. The manuals are all for the American people. It's not for Al-Qaeda, even though it's fun to get scared of them. I understand. I know it's fun to get scared. I understand. It's the national pastime. Land of the cowards, home of the slaves. It's still a good country if good people will stand up and say no. All right, let's shift gears to another traitor. I've got the intro here to one of Alvin and Heidi Toffler's books, and we have an article that has links to it. Newt Gingrich, Mr. New World Order. He supported NAFTA. He supported GATT. He supports world government. You can get all of the quotes from the different books he wrote the intros to, like Future Shock and let me just read from one of these. The time has come for the next great step forward in American politics. It is not a matter of Democrats versus Republicans or left and right, because you think Newt Gingrich is going to save you. The media said so. A lot of people are like, I like him. It's not a matter of Democrats versus Republicans or left versus right, but something more significant, a clear distinction between rearguard politicians who wish to preserve or restore an unworkable past, like the Second Amendment, family, private property, because he's part of this futurist society that calls for all this, who are ready to transition to what we call the third wave information age society. Now, coming up, I'm going to read you quotes out of The Economist magazine where they admit all this technocracy, technology, third wave is communist. But they're like, communism run by mega banks. Now that's great. They take all our money and we're slaves, and they live offshore in giant palaces, and the paramilitary troops crack our skulls if we get a little uppity. That sounds like a good system, doesn't it? And those who are ready to transition to what we call the third wave information age society, as if they create the technology, see? They always say, big government made this, like Al Gore inventing the internet. A new civilization is emerging in our lives, and blind men everywhere are trying to suppress it. Oh, we're blind. No, we see what it is, Newt. We're not blind. This new civilization brings with it new family styles, and you actually read into our reports, it gets into the full statements and full things he's endorsed, and I mean, it's into the family. Changed ways, a new economy, new political conflicts, and altered consciousness, a little new agey stuff on top. Humanity faces a quantum leap forward. This is the meaning of the third wave. Our argument is based on what we call the revolutionary premise. Oh, a little Illuminati. Again, against humanity. Not a revolution against tyranny. He calls for the technocracy. The revolutionary premise liberates our intellect and will, again, of the psychopaths that dominate us. Nationalism's first wave. Get rid of that, because we're going to give you something even better. How about banker rule? You have to buy the fraud they created. Taking your house without, even when it's paid for. That's really, that's great. NAFTA and GATT, that was great too. Nationalism is first wave. The globalization of business and finance required by advancing third wave economies routinely punctures the national sovereignty the nationalists hold so dear. Oh, well, I mean, if there was some federation that was pro-Second Amendment, pro-family, wanted to go to space or something, that'd be different. If I didn't have to give up my sovereignty. What are the bankers doing in Europe? They've had their operatives get in power, sign the country onto the globalist debt, and now saying, we'll implode you totally if you don't waive all your rights in perpetuity, not even to a central government, but to the private banking dictatorship. Oh, Goldman Sachs has conquered Europe. Global government by banks. Oh, the New World Order. I mean, you know, the establishment is endorsing Newt Gingrich, just like they did with Romney and the rest of them. Pro-abortion, open borders, gun control, wrote Obamacare, on and on and on. As our economies are transformed by the third wave, they are compelled to surrender part of their sovereignty. What do you always hear all these leaders saying? We got to give up some of our sovereignty. In globalism, yeah, things have gotten bad under it because you haven't given us enough power, enough bailouts. One more. Let us use the troops in America and Europe. Poets and intellectuals of third wave states sing the virtues of a borderless world and planetary consciousness. Total new world order, borderless crime syndicates getting away with anything they want. Nations are firewalls against Hitler's, Stalin's, Mao's, and people like that. That's why you want countries, because there's always somewhere to run to. But not with one global standardized, synchronized system. And again, I covered it on the radio yesterday. There's so many books he wrote the forwards to. I'm trying to remember which Alvin and Heidi Toffler one he wrote that to. I want to give you the exact one. It's in our article. And again, it's got quotes in here bad-mouthing the founding fathers. You just go read Watson's article, or just type in Newt Gingrich forward to Alvin and Heidi Toffler books, and you'll get just, and his other writings and the Futurist Society he's part of. It's unbelievable. Now, oh yeah, he wants socialist health care, the whole 9 yards. Here's another one. Newt Gingrich also supported federally mandated health care coverage. This is out of the Daily Costs. They're saying, "Wow, Bill Clinton's coming out praising him." Yeah, there's some of the quotes of the communitarian. Here's another one. Newt's world order. Gingrich supported GATT, NAFTA, and WTO while in Congress. I mean, do you want me to continue with all of these? This is what we're dealing with. This is the type of monster. And again, you've seen Clinton come out and say, "Oh, he's got a reasonable thing on open borders." Ladies and gentlemen, there are 6,700,000,000 people that want to come here. And we might even be able to take another 500 million or so if they don't get on welfare right when they get here. The country is bankrupted, which is what the bankers want. And they want dependent groups. Do you understand this? Anything the globalists are for, I'm against. Gun control, open borders. You heard them. It's about lawlessness. It's not about building up China or Mexico. It's about driving everything down. And by the way, the jobs are even leaving Mexico now to China, where they have people jumping off their roofs, committing suicide so much they've got to put suicide nets around all the buildings. I mean, this is hell on earth, folks. Globalism isn't meant to empower. It's meant to enslave everyone to this globalist system. So I'm going to play you a clip. Which one do we have first? Him being endorsed by Clinton or the one with Nancy Pelosi? Yeah. First is Pelosi, then Bill Clinton endorsing him 3 days ago. Now, here's Nancy Pelosi with Newt Gingrich when they were trying to pass the carbon tax bill, federal home inspections, shutting down all our major factories, just devastating cutoff of our power. Here's Newt Gingrich endorsing this globalist operation. When China and 100+ other third world countries have to make zero cuts on their carbon dioxide, you think America's in a cardiac arrest now, you ain't seen nothing yet. And it shows how I hear all over neocon radio, Neil Borch, Rush Limbaugh, all of them. Newt Gingrich is great. Newt Gingrich is good. Folks, they've known about Gingrich and NAFTA and GATT and before that, gun control and weird Illuminati socialism and borderless planets and collectivism and the end of nation states and all the weird stuff he writes. And they're like, oh, he's so intellectual. He's so smart. He sits up there with that smug, you-know-what-eating grin on his face of the psychopaths. That guy is such an enemy of this country. You people think you're going to get out of this with Newt Gingrich. I mean, give me Obama. He's horrible. He's evil. He's a teleprompter reader, but he's nothing compared to Gingrich. And Obama's worn out. Obama's exposed. They'll bring in this guy. This is Mr. False Flag right here. He loves to say, are you ready to lose a U.S. city if you don't give up all your rights? He sits there and uses fear. He goes, oh, let me see how dumb the public is. Let me see how I can manipulate him. He is a traitor and an enemy of free humanity. That guy is a Lenin Stalin if he can get away with it. You ought to read his other quotes I covered in the show yesterday about power and seething and his global takeover. They go, oh, you're a psychopath control freak? But again, he's just a ringer probably for Obama, though. But a lot of people, Joseph Curl at the Washington Times wrote a good article about it. Is Obama trying to lose? You know, maybe they want Newt Gingrich. Maybe they want to give him all this power. All right, I'm going too long here. Let's just go to these clips here of the liberals endorsing him. And they're not even liberals, the fake fascist, the fake liberals who are really fascist, they're all running to support him. That's who they want right now. Is it because he's a ringer or because they know it'll continue the agenda? Now, here is just more of the scumbag Newt Gingrich.
We don't always see eye to eye, do we, Newt?
No, but we do agree our country must take action to address climate change.
We need cleaner forms of energy, and we need them fast.
If enough of us demand action from our leaders, we can spark the innovation we need.
Even Bill Clinton, rather, is pouring in on the praise for Gingrich's thoughtful approach to immigration. Take a listen.
He thinks about this stuff all the time. He's articulate, and he tries to think of a conservative version of an idea that will solve a legitimate problem.
And it just goes on and on. You can find the full interview. It just goes on and on. You can watch the full ads. That's when they were trying to pass it. I mean, I read that bill. We covered it. The climate system wasn't just that. It was a total federal takeover. They don't care. They just signed executive orders and are moving forward. Folks, this country's got cancer. You better wake up. Continuing, going back to the Middle East, North Africa, neocons planned regime change throughout the Middle East and North Africa 20 years ago. Let me just go back to Gingrich for a minute. Please get this video out. The information you just saw. Please get it out to everybody. Warn these poor, sick, bamboozled people that follow the Republican leadership who demonize Ron Paul. Please, all the fools that worshipped Obama who are now apologizing to me, good. At least you woke up. But we don't have time to be conned again and again. Gingrich and Obama, they're all evil. But Gingrich is an actual Illuminist operative. I mean, that guy is a demon. He had a wife dying of cancer, and he came in and talked crap to her and divorced her as she was dying, as she begged him. He's a papa psycho. Those of us that have feeling need to stand up against these dark ones. I'm telling you. Folks, we're going to beat them, though, because we had the jump on them historically. They're going to bring the tyranny in, but that's when the victory starts, because people aren't going to wake up till it gets really bad. You think what you've seen so far is an awakening? This is only the beginning. And you people, I wish we could stop it before it gets 100 times worse, but at least in the darkest hour, we're going to beat these people. When you realize you got nothing left to lose with them. Whew, man. Oh, man. Nothing like a Nelly fat-ass psycho demon. I'm sorry. I just... I pray to God to bring justice to this man. I'll say that right now. I pray to God to bring justice to this person. I don't pray for God to have somebody do something to Newt Gingrich. I pray that God open up his eyes and make him humble. All right, I'm done talking about that little sissy. All right. Ugh. God, how could you take America and want to destroy it and bring in evil and re-education and break up families? I mean, he's just a scumbag. Another scumbag, that Barney Frank stepped down today. Barney Frank. I'm going to talk about him coming up in a moment. Another sack of pus. Man. I get so angry, I can hardly continue here. There's a big article breaking down all the admissions they planned all this decades ago. It's all staged. And Al-Qaeda is their excuse to go into the countries when they actually use Al-Qaeda to overthrow them. And hell, land of the slave, home of the cowards, they love it. Okay, continuing here. We've got a Wesley Clark clip where he was talking about how this was planned a long time ago. And Pakistan's, of course, completely freaking out right now. Before we go to this Wesley Clark clip, they're having their military bases bombed by NATO as the globalists prepare to start war with them. Let's go ahead and go to that clip of Wesley Clark. Here it is.
He pulled up a piece of paper off his desk. He said, I just got this memo from the Secretary of Defense's office that says we're going to attack and destroy the governments in 7 countries in 5 years. We're going to start with Iraq, and then we're going to move to Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Iran. I said 7 countries in 5 years. I said, is that a classified memo? He said, yes, sir. I said, well, don't show it to me. He was about to show it to me. He said, because I want to talk about it. And I sat on this information for a long time, for about 6 or 8 months. I was so stunned by this, I couldn't begin to talk about it. And I couldn't believe it would really be true, but that's actually what happened.
It's funny, open source general, you should know, that was the former head of the major NATO operation in Serbia, you should know was the Israeli plan in 82 and 84 and adopted as the war plan after 1991. That's how we knew in Obama deception that Libya was next. People are like, how are we always so accurate? Because we've got a stinking roadmap. I mean, it's so you go to a play and, oh, up next is this scene. I mean, it's not Not rocket science. Let's get into the euro. One of the big writers over at the Financial Times of London has predicted that the Eurozone has 10 days left at most if total power isn't given to the banksters, who engineered the crisis, of course. And I thought I would just look at this Economist magazine. Rob Jacobson likes to read it, and I like to read it as well. It's kind of the globalist, thinly veiled propaganda. But they're pretty honest in here, and I've got some of the quotes in here in an article titled, "Minds Like Machines, Governments by Experts Sound Tempting, Especially in a Crisis. It Can Work." So they go on to say, it can work. This is really good. And then they go on to say, just like Newt Gingrich always talks about technocracy and technology, that's what Lenin did. Technocracy was once a communist idea. Oh, really? Borderless systems, the end of the family? Really? You mean government-forced health care, where they also control health care, that Gingrich endorses? You mean it's communist? I thought that was just over in Russia. Technocracy was once a communist idea. With the proletariat in power, administration can be left to experts. Technocracy and autocracy have been natural bedfellows. Oh, autocracy. And Time Magazine, Newsweek, get rid of the Constitution. It's the problem. No, getting rid of the Constitution allowed this to now happen. Technocrats rule big chunks of public life. Central bankers are one example. Oh, look. In the article, it just goes through here. In fact, I've even got it highlighted here in my article, my little copy. Oh, they do run it. And I've literally seen hundreds of articles last month going, it's a banker coup. They're going to have a world government. They just got the idea. The bankers are going to have a world government, and they're going to have tax enforcers that run your country, and your country will have no sovereignty anymore. It'll all be run by them. They don't add the people that set it all up, the fraud, and put their people in over your government. It's a espionage, infiltrator takeover through financial fraud. But that's okay, because if you got a big heart, you're for it. You're for open borders so the globalists can just get rid of all your countries. If you got a big heart. And it goes on, even highly political governments set up independent or bipartisan panels to make difficult decisions. So we don't need Congress to do those bills anymore. They have a super committee. Such as closing military bases. I told you that commission would fail, because when it fails, then they just automatically do whatever they want. It's all lies. Such as closing military bases, setting electronic boundaries, or making spending cuts so you can pay all the money to the bankers. They create independent agencies to run everything from health care to education. Oh, yes, they're very independent, filled with the corporate cronies. They create independent agencies to run everything from healthcare to education. They put outside experts in top jobs. Yeah, the Goldman Sachs people in every position, such as the economist Larry Summers in the Clinton and Obama administrations. Oh, he's independent, got rid of Glass-Steagall to do all this. I mean, this is like saying they hired Joseph Goebbels to be independent in the trial and prosecute Hitler. They hired Mrs. Santa Claus to prosecute Mr. Claus because she's independent. They hired Santa Claus's son because he has nothing to do with Santa Claus. I mean, and intellectuals think they read The Economist. They get it, and oh, God, I'm going to repeat this around at the corporate meeting and sound really smart. I'm so smart, it's just incredible. Okay, I just can't take it anymore. But we're still the bad people because we predicted everything that happened with precision. It's those crazies that think there's going to be a global government run by international bankers. The crazy ones that, yeah, aren't they? They're so bad. They're going to cause violence in America. Whatever, you're the ones murdering people all over the world. Al-Qaeda's being put in power everywhere. And I'm like, hey, these government manuals don't talk about Al-Qaeda. It's all about arresting gun owners. Shut up, traitor. Shut up, anti-American. I thought America was about land and family and guns. I wanted to be free. I just wanted to be left alone. Shut up. Bankers that engage in fraud and take private bank accounts from people and people's houses that are paid for, they're the good men. You're the bad man. Oh, the IMF is drawing up another $500 billion package to save Italy, Spain, and the euro. I probably told you about 100 times after they were done with Iceland, Ireland. I even told you the order because there's a public plan. Greece. Then it would then be Italy, Spain, Portugal. Oh, and of course then they leveraged the $500 billion to around $10 trillion. They leveraged $1.4 billion into $5 trillion. They're going to leverage all of this. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, they need, then when that implodes, it'll spread to America. And we've got to merge it all. There's got to be one big thing. Oh, let's have the very people that engineered it fix it. And all the media will say, they have fixed it. They have fixed it. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. I mean, because the trendies read Economist. Oh, the bankers are going to take over. No more freedom? You mean we're getting rid of governments and it'll be experts? Oh my God, it's so trendy. You people that said there'd be a dictatorship and the military and the streets and that banks would run everything, you're kooks for being right, but it is trendy. It's good and I love it, but you're also wrong and kooks. This is the mental illness of these people. And they'll have their bank accounts taken, everything. Their kids will die of cancer from the vaccines. They'll die early. They love it. It's like, oh my God, I love the system. Because the system smiles at them on TV, the psychopaths and the teleprompter info babes trained to mimic psychopath liars. They sit up there and, oh, tonight we're going to cover how we're going to take your money. Ooh. And it's like, yay, yay. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, how much more crazy does it have to get? Because it's going to get bad, folks. They're going to probably start trying to shut the web off, arrest people like me. I mean, who knows how they'll try to set me up. But it doesn't matter. We beat them in the end because we knew the truth. And folks will listen down the road. No amount of brainwashing, Prozac is going to stop that. No amount of NFL and this culture of death. None of it will stop it. Now let's move into the type of people we're dealing with here. You know, I asked Paul Watson a month ago to do an article. I said, look it up. It's 5 times more likely to abuse children in government care, CPS, than any other group. So they take kids and they just think they're at risk in actuaries. Well, what about an actuary about government being the greatest risk? And Paul sent back an email and said, well, look at all these government documents. You're 17 times more likely to be abused sexually by CPS, 5 times regular physical. A good, you know, punch in the nose, starving, whatever. And so government is 17 times more likely to abuse children, and they're the ones over children because they like it. The Daily Mail and others are reporting that major TV programs like ESPN had the tapes for 10 years of the wife of this Syracuse coach, assistant coach, saying, yes, I watched him rape little boys. And, you know, ESPN said, hey, it's a club. Your kids, you know, we're not releasing this. So the assistant coach went down to Safeway and got a steak. That's how it's seen. The public's our food. Ah, look, they think we care that the kids are our food. We're psychopath control freak scum. We're a legion of evil. We're not releasing it because that's who we are. We've been given power over this world to carry out evil, especially against children, and we're going to be accomplices, just like Sandusky and everything else. And you know what? America doesn't care either. Take your vaccines and give us your children. He got what he deserved. Victims praise Syracuse for firing sex abuse scandal coach as tapes reveal his wife watched husband molest boys in their home. And ESPN had the tapes and just said, you know what? We're not going to go there because we're part of a team. A team. Watch all those homoerotic shows, all those things they do on the sports. If that's their thing, whatever. But keep your hands off kids, okay? I know who you are. I know who you are. DynCorp, all of it. You're all scum. Continuing here, ESPN reporter explains why the fine tape wasn't released in 2002. Oh, you know, and why not? DynCorp Halliburton run this stuff worldwide. Comes out in Congress, nothing's done. Why not? Those of us that don't want to hurt children are the bad people in the land of hell. In an insane culture, those that are good are the bad people. And you've got to learn that. You are the hunted ones. You are the bad people. All right, we're going to go to break and come back with the major news reports and a new peer-reviewed paper, The Corporate Psychopath Theory of the Global Financial Crisis. And then Gerald Celente is coming up. Great job to the crew so far. Please, I hope this isn't pearls before swine. Do you realize how powerful this info is? I'll tell you like it is. We can beat these people, but you've got to admit how bad they are. Okay? It's the only way to beat them. You've got to admit how rotten we've gotten and how pathetic we've gotten if we're ever going to dig out of this. Because you think it's bad now. These teams of psychos are getting ready to do a major blitz on us all. They've got it all lined up, all ready. They've been poisoning our food and water for a while, and we're in a red level emergency. And as the professor's about to tell you, they're even going to destroy their own system. They cannot help it. They're cancer. They're not winning as they run through the body. They're destroying the host. We'll be right back. It's InfoWars Nightly News. If you believe in this information, please be sure and support the broadcast by subscribing. The 15-day free trial ends. Well, that's it for InfoWars Nightly News. Lord willing, we'll be back here tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Central. I want to thank all the PrisonPlanet.tv subscribers. You pay the way for the millions of people that watch this on YouTube and Blip TV and all the other BitTorrents and systems that are out there. They're moving towards internet censorship right now and internet kill switches and talking about copyright this, that, to shut down free speech. No due process. It's on. The crooks have done it all. And you notice they got the main Wall Street sharks always lobbying for middle-class tax increases because they siphon it all off and steal it through bailouts and through government investments. And then they get all the tax incentives and tax breaks like Gerald mentioned. They're a bunch of crooks. It's called the New World Order, and it's the enemy. It's a new type of tyranny, and people better learn to recognize it. Every generation thinks they're fighting the last tyranny, Hitler, Stalin, Mao. No, it's come dressed up as a bunch of white shoe boys, as Gerald Celente has said. Again, Infowars.com is our website. TrendsResearch.com is their website. Be sure and check them both out because the system is scared to death. And we're taking a risk here going head up against these criminals because we know in the final equation, the greatest risk is not standing up to these bullies. You can also subscribe. Got a few days left of the 15-day free trial at PrisonPlanet.tv or InfoWarsNews.com. I'm Alex Jones signing off from the front lines of the InfoWar. Great job, supporters, and great job to that crew out there.